this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was? Then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Every year around October 13th, I talk about this because this is the beginning of ritual season 2020 here, October 13th, and one of the craziest years with the things that were going on. We're seeing how we're moving closer to this 1984 end times type of society. It's important to remember the stuff that I'm going to share with you, so please listen and share it with people so they know. Because it's not a joke, even though everyone will say it's a joke. They just don't see the constant praising of witches, magic, and this satanic lifestyle, in music videos, the movies, the promotion of it. They don't see it. They're blinded by it because they think everything is art or some type of entertainment, when in reality, they're being programmed to accept it and be desensitized. So share this information. As most of you who follow the channel know, I try to point out these satanic ritual dates on the satanic calendar. I do it just because it's important for spiritual warfare to know what's going on. I've always felt that way, at least. I understand some people say, well, why do we need to know? Well, you don't necessarily need to know. If you're not interested, obviously don't listen to the video. I'm not trying to create fear and paranoia by saying this is what goes on during these dates, but people should be aware because a lot of abductions occur. A lot of animals go missing. This is stuff that actually does go on. It's been going on for hundreds of years in this time period because these are significant dates for the Satanists. This is when the veil is at its thinnest. This is when offerings are given to Satan, specifically during this period of time, which starts October 13th and runs to the 31st, which is Samhain, Halloween night. All we truly need in this spiritual warfare is God, is the scriptures, is prayer. But during these specific dates, it's important to make sure you are in prayer and you're aware that spiritual warfare is running rampant. And that if you have animals and stuff like that, you should definitely keep an eye on them. The myth of a cat getting abducted on, All Hallows Eve or on Halloween, it's not a myth. Okay, stuff like this doesn't just become a myth. Oh, did you hear the cat got killed? It's been going on since witches have been here. So you could date it back as far as you want to date it. So this period, which starts the 13th, as you know, with Aleister Crowley and the law of reversals, 13th is 31 backwards. On the 13th, they begin their preparation for All Hallows Eve and Samhain. This is like an abduction period. They hold ceremonial preparations for sacrifices and human sacrifices during this time period, which leads up to October 28th and 30th, which is, this when they start doing their blood rituals, their human sacrifices each day. It could be a male or a female. And then October 30th and 31st, which is All Hallows Eve and Halloween night. That's where they perform sexual orgies, sexual climax. They summon all sorts of demons. There's animal and human sacrifice that occurs. And it's when the veil during this period is at its thinnest. What that means is that it's easier for them, their spells are stronger during this period because it's easier for them to summon demons from the other side for their black magic rituals and all this disgusting, embarrassing stuff that these Satanists partake in. So it's important during this time period to stay strong in your prayers. It's important during this time period to just keep an eye on your pets, okay? And I know people go, oh, that's ridiculous, it's over the top. Listen, if you go down, I don't know where, anybody out there lives, but if I go into my town or a town, and I do, when I do leave the house, I see signs all the time, especially during ritual seasons, of missing dogs, okay, they're just missing. They were in someone's backyard, caged in, and then the dog goes missing. The dog didn't jump over the fence and run away. Okay, people aren't kidnapping the dog because they said, did you see that dog next door? What a beautiful dog. We should take the dog and keep the dog for ourselves. These animals are taken for sacrifice rituals. That's what they're taken for. People aren't stealing other people's pets and then selling them on the black market. That's not how it's working here. Okay, that's just not what's going on. But they want you to think that that stuff happens, but they don't bring attention to abductions and kidnapping of animals, and they certainly don't bring much attention to the kidnapping and abduction of children, which is just ridiculous that is something in an election period like right now. They don't talk about how many kids are going missing and how
trafficking industry makes over $32 billion annually. I mean, it's a ridiculous amount of money. It's almost as much as drug trade. And you don't hear anybody talk about it. All you're talking about is Donald Trump talking about another woman's private parts and Hillary Clinton's set up faked leaked emails, which is all part of this plan, this staged event. Her emails wouldn't leak unless they wanted to. So all this stuff is what people focus on. They think the rest of this stuff is, not important or fictional. In reality, this is the stuff that's going on. Children are being abducted, and they're being abducted not because people want other people's kids so that they can, they couldn't have a kid on their own, so they want to abduct someone else's. And despite what they'll tell you, okay, because I know when they bring up child abduction, they say, well, they're abducting children, then they're sending them to third world countries so they could do slave labor. That's the illusion they want to create, because they don't want to mention that they're abducting them for sexual rituals and satanic rituals. What else are they going to say? When people go, where are these kids going? Why are they going missing? That's the excuse they give. So they set up fake charities. I've exposed one on this channel before. Just, charities that, we're accepting money to try to help get kids out of third world countries who are doing slave labor, who are abducted in America. It's all a ruse. It's all to get people to look in the opposite direction and say, okay, kids are going missing, but this is where they're going. Nobody's talking about satanic rituals and this stuff. Now, I'll probably do a video talking about Halloween and what's behind it, the satanic, meaning behind it and what it really stands for. But I'll say something here, which I don't hear that many people say, but you have to really put it in perspective. This has only been going on for 100 years or so, give or take, Halloween in America. Now, a lot of other countries don't celebrate. It's a satanic holiday. Halloween is a satanic holiday. That's all there is to it. I know people have been indoctrinated with it. People love it. Okay? People love to dress up. They love the candy and all that stuff. The purpose behind it, not just behind the holiday and the worship of Satan, the purpose behind the trick-or-treating and all that stuff is pretty easy to figure out. They need to do child sacrifices and rituals on Halloween. How else would they get kids back 70 years ago? Okay? They were kidnapping and abducting children because kids were going around knocking on doors asking for candy. Kids were going missing. They were abducting them and using them for ritual sacrifice. Now, over time, how did they start getting their ritual sacrifices? Well, abortion became a huge thing in America because the Satanists brainwashed everybody into thinking it wasn't, a murder or a sacrifice or any of those things. They said, it's a woman's choice. They turned it into a feminist movement when it's actually the killing of a child. And they convinced the masses out there to go along with it, to stand up for women having the right to choose. And what it really is a sacrifice and a ritual. So as time progressed and people agreed with and went along with abortion, there wasn't as much of a need for them on Halloween to abduct kids because it was riskier to do it, right? Somebody grabbing a kid off the street, especially now with phones and the technology, is a little bit more risky for them. But since they have the abortion ritual sacrifices, they use those for their satanic rituals during this period. But kids are still getting abducted. But the reason that it started, really, even though they'll tell you, it was about candy, it was about they were trying to help out the candy business. There's all sorts of lies that float out there about it. You can read many different ones. The History Channel even has lies and propaganda out there about, it started as a small thing in a small town and it spread in the West. And now it's just a tradition for people. It's for kids to have fun and have candy and all this nonsense. The idea around it, think about it, was for them on a night where they do these satanic rituals, where they sacrifice and do pedophilia with children. Okay, on that specific night, the night that veils the thinnest, the night that is most important and sacred to the Satanists, the kids are running around knocking on doors at a time period where you probably it wasn't easy to abduct kids and you weren't getting abortion sacrifices. They had to have a way where they could go and grab children and perform ritual sacrifices and abduct them and kidnap them. And if you go back, the statistics you'll find now are very much tainted. You won't hear stuff. They almost have made it like a myth. Like, didn't kids used to get abducted in the 80s and the 70s on Halloween night? Wasn't that like the worst night for child abductions? You can't find stuff really on it anymore. But growing up and, you hearing about it, you would hear about it all the time in small towns. A kid went missing, a kid went missing. Now they don't even mention it on the news anymore. It's almost like, nothing's happening on Halloween. It used to happen all the time. I don't know how frequent it is now, like I said, because they can get the ritual offerings through the abortions, so it's not as mandatory for them to go around picking up kids and using them for ritual sacrifices. Now keep in mind, a lot of the parents in the covens were offering up their children as sacrifice as well, but this was another means for them to do the abduction and the kidnapping. And that, to me, that's, the core and the reason behind the trick-or-treating, behind all of that stuff, to make it fun, to get the kids out there. It's a complete distraction. And then kids are going missing. In the 80s, it was unbelievable how many kids were getting abducted. Unbelievable. And the statistics, when you look back on it, they still try to make it like it's some type of urban legend, like, oh, kids were getting abducted. They were getting abducted. They just won't report on it anymore. And they won't give you real statistics on it anymore. They alter the statistics, just like they're altering the statistics now with, cops shooting black people and vice versa. They're upping how many people are dying all the stuff that's always been going on. They're just changing the statistics around. That's how they convince people and use mind control over them. So again, this period starts October 13th and runs to the 31st. Just be strong in your prayer and in scriptures and read it and trust only in Jesus Christ, not in man, not in the media, not in politics, not in anything you hear going on out there, not in me, not in other YouTubers. Trust only in Jesus Christ. Stay strong in prayer and in faith. Just keep an eye, on your pets and your kids, if you have kids or grandkids, because it's truth. I know people go, well, that's fear, you're fear mongering. And this is the reality of the matter. Okay, I'm not saying that a Hiroshima bomb is going to drop on us tomorrow. Be forewarned. But the truth of the matter is that child abduction is real and it's serious, and so is animal kidnapping, abduction, and sacrifice. This stuff really goes on. This is what the Satanists perform and practice. That is their offerings to Satan, who they worship. Okay? And this is the period where the veil is the thinnest, where they're performing lots and lots of spells against Christians, on the masses, on humanity. They're putting witchcraft and spells on. So it's important for us to stay strong in prayer and in scripture and to pray every day for protection, to pray for others for protection, to fight off against the enemy, to pray to the Holy Spirit. So make sure you're doing that and you're just aware of these things, because these are significant dates to them in this battle that is spiritual warfare that's going on between us and them. That's what it's really about. And everybody else in the middle who doesn't have a clue what's going on is really getting led the other direction because of this spiritual warfare. We have to pray for them, pray for their protection as well, that they can see that Jesus Christ is the Christ, the Messiah, the way, the truth, and the life, and everything else that they've been led to believe are lies in this world. So stay strong in your faith. I thank you for listening to today's show. Prayers for all of you and your families. God bless all of you.